Fellow Anguillians, today, May 3rd, 2021, marks Anguilla's observance of Labor Day, a day dedicated to workers across the world. And so, I would like, on behalf of the government and people of Anguilla, and on my own behalf, to thank all of you, particularly those who serve in frontline positions in the public and private sectors, for your dedication during these trying times. Your labor has not gone unnoticed. Today, we salute you. This is my first address since taking up the mantle of Minister of Home Affairs with responsibility for labor in July last year. As I speak with you today, Anguilla continues to go through a period of national pause as we grapple with the effects of a COVID-19 cluster which is affecting our entire nation. As it pertains to areas of labor in particular, the present situation is quite grim. The vast number of our hotel employees continue to be unemployed and underemployed. So too are employees in allied businesses such as restaurants, tour operators, ferry boat operators, and car rentals, among others. With 51% of all jobs directly or indirectly supported by tourism, this has placed Anguilla in an existential crisis. The huge reduction in aggregate demand has also been felt in other businesses, as tourism accounts for close to 80% of Anguilla's gross domestic product, when direct, indirect, and induced impacts are taken into account. This has brought to the fore the glaring inadequacies regarding social safety nets, including provisions for severance pay and unemployment benefits, just to name a few. In the absence of such, government has been making subsistence payments of EC $1,000 to affected workers since March 2020. While this has been welcomed, we all admit that this is wholly inadequate. It points to the need to have the requisite legislative basis to provide for building robust funds which can be tapped in times of need. This is what is meant by building social resilience. I am counting on the support of the Premier as leader of government business, the Attorney General, and my colleagues in Executive Council and the House of Assembly in helping me to make this a reality. It is also my expectation that employers will embrace such initiatives. As a country, we cannot be found wanting again when the next crisis comes around, as it inevitably will. One of the features of this COVID-19 global pandemic environment has been the switch to remote working. I am happy to see that our Digital Nomads program continues to attract positive attention, even to the extent that a number of our digital nomads are making investments in land and housing. It will no doubt take some time to determine the sociological impacts of such enterprise in terms of balancing work and family time, for example. However, it has undoubtedly demonstrated the need for labor to be equipped to function and thrive in the digital sphere. This will require investment in education, training, as well as deep commitment and nimble alertness. Confronting the challenges of the COVID-19 global pandemic has meant addressing some key questions. 1. What will the future for individual frontline workers in the public and private sectors who simply refuse to take the vaccine? 2. How are workers' rights protected where a minority decides against vaccinations? 3. What latitude does the law provide for employers where instances raised above arise? Where opportunities for success emerging from hardship present themselves, there must also be an abundance of maturity, thoughtfulness, compassion, and teamwork. As we have already seen, simple missteps have serious rippling effects. In the meantime, as policymakers and decision makers, we are charged with making the tough decisions required to ensure the continued good health of our nation's people after careful and reflective consideration of the issues that may be brought before us. We are cautiously optimistic about our ability to reopen and jumpstart the economy so that our people can get back to work, thus providing for themselves and their families. Therefore, the COVID-19 vaccine is a key pillar in making that a reality. I am once again appealing to all persons who are eligible and who have already not yet done so to take the vaccine. Vaccinate for you, your family, and the economy. We will also be working with the relevant stakeholders to put the requisite policy, regulatory, and legislative requirements in place so that persons applying for work permits or work permit renewals will have to be vaccinated as a precondition. I implore our labor sector in Anguilla to give serious thought once again to the potential benefits of unionizing to secure fair pay and monetary remuneration, decent working conditions, and requisite benefits and rights. The Ministry of Labor and the Department of Labor, while fully supporting fair and equitable working conditions and productivity for all employers and employees cannot be a substitute for unions. In the same vein, I take this opportunity to speak directly to all employers, particularly those in the hospitality sector, to see your employees at all levels as valuable assets. It is important to make them feel valued and worthwhile members of the organization. Your profitability is directly hinged to their productivity. And so, fellow Anguillians and stakeholders all, do not lose hope. It is my firm belief that with God's help and favor, we will get through this period by harnessing the strength of the collective. To quote Mother Teresa, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love." A happy Labor Day, my fellow workers. Continue to stay safe and healthy. May God bless us all and keep us in his care.
Today, May 3rd, 2021, Anguilla joins the international celebration of workers everywhere on this another Labor Day. Traditionally, on this day, we pay tribute to all those who work tirelessly to provide a decent living for themselves and their families. We recognize your worth and the enormity of your contribution to the development of a resilient and sustainable economy. Whether you work in an office, at a construction site, at a hotel or restaurant, on the sea, or wherever work is to be found. However, this Labor Day has come at a most critical time, as Anguilla is in the middle of a lockdown brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has and continues to negatively impact our island. Last year, when the pandemic was in its infancy stages, no one envisaged that in 2021, Anguilla would still be facing one of its greatest employment challenges ever. In that initial phase, when the country first went on lockdown, approximately 2,500 persons became unemployed or underemployed. This represents roughly 37% of the labor force. Since that time, the Department of Labor has been addressing issues surrounding a rapidly worsening employment situation triggered by a dramatic decline in tourism, the main pillar supporting Anguilla's economy. Businesses were encouraged to retain workers, but many acknowledged that with the decline in clientele, they were operating at a loss and could not afford wages expense. Those employers with the financial capability to do so opened at reduced capacity just to ensure that their staff would receive a paycheck. Yet many others were forced to reduce operations, curtail work hours, or simply close their doors for business. This ultimately resulted in temporary layoffs and redundancies and led to severe contraction in the economy. With unemployment numbers rising, the Labor Department advised the ministry that measures had to be put in place to ensure that every worker be able to survive. The department collaborated with the Ministry and Social Security to reintroduce the unemployment benefit scheme on a temporary basis to see what measure of relief could be provided. The government's supplementary benefit program was established shortly thereafter. The introduction of the government's phased reopening approach for the country saw persons slowly start to return to work, especially in the hospitality industry. However, low occupancy rates caused some hotels to reduce or cease operations, which ultimately impacted employment figures. Yet, within the last few months, levels of optimism rose as the hospitality sector observed signs of a slow recovery after the government announced plans to fully reopen the country. Now we come to today, Labor Day, and Anguilla is at a crossroads. The emergence of COVID-19 in the country and the current lockdown has made the situation extremely precarious. Certainly, we anticipate another decline in employment numbers. And while as a department we can do nothing to alleviate the uncertainty, we can learn from this unprecedented situation and determine what measures should be implemented to ensure that Anguilla's labor market is in a stronger position in the event of another national or global disaster. When disaster strikes, historically, the country looks to the government for initial assistance from contingency funds. However, the temporary unemployment benefit programs instituted a year ago cannot be sustainable long term. Plans must start from now to develop a more permanent contributory structure and to determine how this will be administered. This pandemic, so close on the heels of Hurricane Irma, has demonstrated how urgently this is needed, as one never knows when or how adversity will strike. While government assistance, such as food vouchers, monetary payouts, and other welfare programs is welcome, these initiatives target specific segments of the population. Other options can always be explored that cater to a wider range of persons. Yet, responsibility does not rest on the government's shoulders alone. Private sector employers should recognize the value that dedicated employees bring to a business. In this small society, job retention and job security are key performance motivators, as job losses can lead to hopelessness, despair, desperation, and negative social consequences. Redundancy should therefore be the last option pursued. Employers are encouraged to have honest and open discussions with staff and together propose creative measures that may be taken to protect jobs and ensure ongoing productivity. Options that may be considered include working from home, contracted hours, contracted workdays, being on call, transfers to other areas, and as a last resort, temporary layoffs. Now should be the time to implement decent work measures, update strategic plans, policies, and procedures, create or revise employee handbooks with legal basis, review, revive, or renew current systems, ensure that performance appraisals and disciplinary programs are fairly orchestrated and in keeping with legal requirements, organize staff training online, use this time constructively. Employees, likewise, have to appreciate the uniqueness of the present status quo and seek ways in which to adapt. Do not place sole reliance on external assistance, whether monetary or in kind. Be proactive in saving for a rainy day. What hidden talents do you have? What can you do to supplement your reduced income? There is a popular saying that necessity is the mother of invention. Many innovative ideas are born of hardship and inspire the growth of entrepreneurship. Therefore, if you're unemployed or underemployed, do not lose hope. You might find that as one door closes, new and more lucrative ones are opened. At the department, although constrained by human and time factors, we too have been proactive in reviewing our policies and procedures, and the revision is ongoing. We are also pressing for the continued modernization of our laws, especially in the areas of occupational health and safety and collective bargaining, as well as key revisions to our Labor Relations Act. We understand the challenge of accomplishing this in a limited time frame, but this remains a top priority. Finally, we urge persons to take advantage of our job registry, which has already successfully paired job seekers with employers. Currently, however, this is very much underutilized by both parties. On this Labor Day, many are hoping for a quick solution to the labor upheaval on Anguilla. The road isn't easy, but we are confident that residents will persevere. leading to a more robust and resilient workforce. I encourage employers and employees working as a team to strategize and put measures in place so that when Anguilla reopens, those in the labor market will be prepared to seize the opportunities that arise. May we be inspired by the words of the late Grammy artist Jimmy Dean. I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to always reach my destination. As we anxiously wait for the pandemic to subside, let those of us who labor on remain steadfast, stay engaged, stay positive, stay focused. Better times are ahead.